Hello, everybody. I'm here with Mitchell Taco Bell. Everybody calls him Taco. So, Taco, what we've got going on here today is, like I said, this interview is going to just be off the wall type of thing here.
All right.
So basically, you know what we do. We are fans of the Pima Air and Space Museum, and we've got a lot of aircraft out there, things like that. You're a big aviation fiend yourself, and what got you into aviation? Tell us the whole story.
Jeez. How long do we have? So, when I was 6 years old, I got my very first airplane ride on American Airlines. I was on a 727 going from DCA out to Knoxville. My aunt, who was a gate agent, was escorting my sister and I while my parents went to Europe for a month or something. But anyway, back then, 1971, no such thing as terrorist. And the flight attendant said, "Hey, little boy, you want to go sit up in the cockpit?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I went up there, and there were three guys. The captain was probably, he's probably an old World War II guy. I mean, I think they were still flying then. And I just remember the older captain, big Ray Bans, younger guy, Ray Bans, engineer. Um, they just let me sit up there for the whole flight and kicked me out on short final. And ever since then, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to be a pilot. And it didn't hurt that my uncle was an F-14 Rio at the time, flying with the Pukin dogs
Mhm.
out of Oceana. So he owned a Cherokee 140, used to take me flying in the Cherokee and just had a blast.
Well, you and I met through Heater Heatley.
Yeah, Heater.
Yep.
Yeah, Heater.
Yeah,
Heater
Heater.
Heatley.
Let's
Awesome
see.
guy.
Yeah, I have his book over here, The Cutting Edge, and I had wanted that book ever since I was a kid. I've always been an F-14 aficionado myself. You know, I love that plane.
I have that book. As a matter of fact, it's in a bag downstairs. I was cleaning out my bedroom,
Hmm.
taking all the books that I've accumulated in there to bring back up here to put on the shelves. And Heater's book was in there. So
Really?
I had him autograph it for me.
Yeah, I met him.
We're
What?
out.
See, it's funny because it's funny you should say that. I actually was down. I had gotten off of work and I was rushing to get to the Air Museum here in Tucson. And Heater came down from Phoenix from a baseball game. Okay,
Mhm.
Heater, if you're watching this, you can do you can verify that story. He came down for a couple hours, went through the museum. I was later than heck getting there. The last patrons were going to be at like 3 o'clock or something like that. I got there at about 3:30, and my friends at the museum, admissions, they said, "Yeah, he's waiting for you over there. Don't worry about it." And I start
Oh, that's
walking.
cool.
I start walking, and I go by the Huey, and then we get the Huey right there, and then they have 14 over yonder. And I say, and then all of a sudden I hear, "That must be Dan. That must be." I'm like, gosh, he knows my name. He's a great guy. He told me everything he flew. He says, "I flew that. I flew that. Oh, I did fly that. I think 29 right there." It's book types. So,
That would be an awesome tour to give, to have him give you a personalized tour of all the aircraft in that museum.
well, he did. He
What a
did
lucky
actually.
deal.
Yeah, he did. Um,
Yeah.
Now, have you ever been to our museum?
No, I've driven by it. It's out in Tucson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I had a guy I was visiting, lives down on the border south of you,
Right.
literally on the border. His ranch is, you can't turn the cell phone on because it'll pick up the Mexican towers,
Mm-hmm.
charge a double or whatever for your cell phone.
Right.
But yeah, we drove by it. And I got to see it, but I haven't been in there yet. I need to. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Well,
yeah,
when you decide to come down to Tucson, please let me know because remember what we talked about on the phone. I said
yeah, yeah.
I'll get you a personal tour of it.
Now,
Uh,
is Pinnacle Peak still a steak place out there?
yes, it is.
Did you ever hear of the movie, Bat 21?
Yes, I do, and I also knew ICL Hamilton personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I read that book. So that was like 1983.
Mr. Anderson
And
wrote it.
yeah, and in back of the book it says Colonel Hamilton and his wife lived not too far from a golf course in Tucson.
I
So I
happen to
picked
know
up
where he
the
lives.
what's that?
I know where he lives, or he lived.
Yeah. Well, I picked up the phone and I called information for Tucson, and sure enough, he was listed in the phone book. And so I called him out of the blue. Some high school kid, 17-year-old kid telling him, "Hey, you're my hero now," after reading what he went through. And we stayed pen pals for years. And then fast forward, I got my wings and I'm at the squadron. We were flying out to Tucson to go pick up some C-130 parts out of there. And he and his wife met us at the O Club. Oh boy, God, man, it was one cigarette after another. And when he got to the end, his wife was already packing the next one, open it up for him. But yeah, it's a damn shame they both passed, but
Yeah, Mitch.
nicest guy.
He. The funny, I did the same thing you did. I kind of hero worship and things like that. I asked him. I said, "What kind of aircraft did you fly?" He told me what aircraft in a letter that he flew. My dad and I we took a trip to Tucson because the air show was here,
Mhm.
and he said, "Oh, hey, let's go check out. Let's go say hi to Colonel Hamilton." I'm like, "Are you crazy?" He says, "No, no." And then all of a sudden, they said, Dad, we don't want to bother, man. We don't want to like a little like scaredy cat I am. And he said, all of a sudden, he knocks on the door. And he says, "My son, this is my son." I said, "My son Dan." And he's like, "Oh yeah, come on in, come on in." Of course, yes, he was a big smoker. I just recently quit.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. We all went and bought the little. I was just looking up on my bookshelf. I had it handy.
Hmm.
We all went up and bought the paperback, Bat 21,
Yeah,
and we took it over there, and we had them autograph all of our copies. That was really cool
yeah, he's a nice
back
guy.
in the day. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
so
he,
we went
he
to Pinnacle Pete's for dinner.
Pinnacle Peak. Yeah,
Peak, yeah, that was it. Pinnacle Peak.
Pinnacle Peak. I forget exactly where it's at, but I know where it's. I know exactly where it's at. It's in the
Yeah,
general area of it. Um, they got some good steaks up there at El Corral up
yeah.
up on
Well,
River.
did any of your folks have any questions they wanted to ask?
You know what? I have not gotten anything yet. But like I said, hey, it could come in. Um, we're not live right now. This is pre-recorded, guys,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
because we wanted to kind of minimize the lag and everything like that. I do want to tell everybody about Mitch. He runs a podcast called Tall Tales with Taco Bell. Okay, and
Easy to remember.
you remember his call sign was Taco. Tell us how you got that call sign.
Bell.
Oh well, yeah. It's it's
Better
obvious.
than
It's obvious.
it
It's
was.
obvious to me, but it'd be a nice explanation.
No, it's better. It's better than Tinker
Tinker,
or Liberty.
really?
Usually you get a call sign off of doing something stupid
Yeah.
or a variant of your last name or something. But I think I got lucky because back in the '70s when Taco Bell came out,
Hmm.
they had a little Mexican girl and she had the finger symbols and
Yeah.
she'd go
Little.
taco 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 for like 30 seconds. And right at the end, Taco Bell. So of
Hmm.
course everyone kind of would
Right.
call me Taco. So
Right.
it sort of stuck.
Now, your flying experience. We kind of that's cool because it's like it's a play on it's kind of a play on words to your last name. It's like Taco Bell. You're gonna go to Taco Bell. I saw the episode of you having that Taco Bell shirt that someone sent you.
Oh yeah, that's actually over here hanging on my stormtrooper.
Oh no way! Look at this, guys. He's got
Yep.
his own stormtrooper sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Unbelievable.
got Freddie Joe Farnsworth. He's a Marine
Hmm.
gunny. He was in the TV show Band of Brothers in the Pacific, and he and Dale Dye they did all the training for
Right.
the actors, and that's the uniform that he wore
Hmm.
in the TV show. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, I've got a lot of. I should actually do a podcast one day on all the crap I have because um, it means a lot to me as a Marine.
Hmm.
I tell my wife, don't sell my crap for $1 at a yard sale when I die because,
Hmm. It's a sentimental value.
yeah,
Right.
like that blue and white, those stars, that's the Medal of Honor.
Hmm.
I got that at the Medal of Honor convention up in Boston one year.
Right.
I go every year, and then as much as I can, and then I had all the guys autograph it for me, and I work with them all
Hmm.
over the years, and that stuff's kind of neat. Then I've got a prop signed by all the Apollo astronauts up there,
Really. Huh.
and just all sorts of. Got a giant poster from Iwo Jima signed by all the vets who made it back when I was there for the 50th anniversary, and
Really.
yeah, just all sorts of
By
crazy
the way,
crap.
that Harrier behind you that you got behind you that you
Yeah,
showed to um, your friend on
yeah.
the last podcast, I had that same model.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that, and you can kind of see the
Tomcat.
F-14s, Tomcats, in the puke and dogs colors.
Yep.
Sorry, my dog is back here. Can you see him?
Hi, doggy.
Yeah, yeah. He's a good boy, except he gets a little anxious, and so he's sitting here.
What kind of pup is he?
That is Aussie Doodle.
Oh,
Murphy. Look up here.
Murphy.
So
Murphy.
yeah, he's a, well, he's a good dog, but he gets a little mixed up in the cords sometimes.
Oh, but
Yeah,
basically,
yeah, good dog.
you know,
So aviation wise, yes, as a Marine, I started out in the T-34.
mhm,
Then I did the King Air, the C-90, and King Air, then C-130s. I got a chance to land on the USS Lexington in the back of an A4.
mhm,
I got a chance to fly in the back seat of an F-4D out in Hawaii. It was a
mhm.
civilian model by a company out in the Mojave Desert called Tricor. At
Tricor.
at the time, I think they were Tricor. So they had F-86s and F-4s,
Mhm.
and we had refueled them with our C-130, and then um, on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, the pilot, I had asked him for a backseat ride, and he's like, "Sure, come on, bring another Marine." So we did that.
We just want to
Um,
scare the Marine.
yeah, it was a blast. I mean, we went Mach 1.3 and 53,000 feet, and then I owned a Cherokee 140 at a 1929 Fleet 2 biplane. Um, Flown every airplane civilian wise at American 727. I was an engineer for a year, and then the Fokker 100, F 100,
Yep.
Super 80, 73, 75, 76, 777, 78, then back to captain on
Mhm.
the 737. And I've been there for the last 5 years and instructing for the last 4 years.
You're a 787 captain now, right?
No, 737 captain.
Okay, but you're
Yeah, I
a
flew
first
as
officer.
FO.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a FO on all the other airplanes.
Really? How do you like flying the 787?
That was the best airplane, and that's the best airplane ever.
Okay. Reason I,
Uh,
reason I say that we have one over at the Air Museum. We have the second
you have a
prototype.
787 at the Air Museum
At
already?
yep.
From where?
All Nippon Airlines. It's the second prototype of the 787. We got the
Oh,
first.
so
We got the very first prototype of the 777 over there.
wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, so the part about that airplane I like is it has big giant I can't even remember 50 kVA, 60 kVA generators
Mhm.
on the engines, and that powers the pneumatics for the pressurization. They also have a humidifier inside that airplane, and you fly from Dallas to China. It was 15 hours. Well, it'd be 3 hours. You go do a break for 3 hours, and back up for 3 hours, break for 3 hours, back up for 3 hours,
Right.
and then 45 minutes later you landed. But with that humidifier, it didn't dry your sinuses out, so you were ready to roll, man. I'm telling you, that was an awesome plane to fly, especially long distance.
You've been with the airlines for what, 20 some years?
25 years. Yeah.
Wow, wow. And you've of course military wise probably what, 29, 20, 30 years.
20 it was total of 29. So I joined in 86
Really?
and retired in 2015.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, I retired on D-Day 2015.
Well, congratulations on your, we don't we don't like to say retiring, but it's kind of a sunset word.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it's all right.
yep. So as you know, I went on vacation for the past week. Started Friday of not this past week, but the week prior. I went to the USS Midway.
Yeah.
Went to the
Did you see
Midway.
Paul Ward out there?
Yes, I did. I got a picture of him and I shaking hands.
Say, hey, Paul, how are you?
Paul, this taco right here. Yeah, I said hi to him. He was over by the Midway Theater. That was where his post was.
Mhm.
And do you know a gentleman by the name of Stephen Smith, the curator for the Flying Leathernecks Air Museum? He
No,
wasn't
I know Don um,
Don.
Williams and Paul Ward over at the museum there.
Mhm.
I don't know the other.
Well, Steve Smith actually went because went to the Midway because of the Leathernecks Museum clothing. They're going to be moving the aircraft to El Toro. Okay, so
Hmm.
all of your KC-130 hangars that you guys used to have over there,
Yeah.
that's where the museum's going.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
Yep. Now, of course, I from the Midway, I went to Miramar. Okay, that's the picture I showed you yesterday.
Right.
The VMGR was it 352 or VMGR?
Yep.
Yep,
352, the Raiders.
the Raiders. They went they went from I think Toro to El Toro to Miramar, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. Uh,
Yep.
Now, was that your squadron or no?
Now I was East Coast. I flew 252. We were Otis,
Oh,
VMGR 252, and then I went to 152 over in Okinawa, Japan for
hmm,
a year, but I only flew part time over there. I
really?
did full time desk job with a Marine Wing support group.
And of course, you were also a Marine Corps recruiter.
I did recruiting duty for a total of 9 years. Yeah,
Really? How'd you like that?
yeah, I loved it. The first 3 years, I was a district aviator, so I had a whole slew of airplanes I could rent. Started out with a Bonanza 836 and
Hmm.
a Cessna 303 Crusader, a 421, 414.
Right.
I think the 421 was a long nose, 414, 340, and then I got into Navajos,
Hmm.
and I met a guy that owned three Navajos, and what he did was as much money as I was giving him,
Right.
um, he bought another Navajo Chieftain, and that was my airplane. I flew it Monday through Friday from almost 6 to 8 hours a day. Couple months in the fall, couple months in the spring. And then I just did maintenance flying each month through the summer and then the winter.
Just to keep
But
your
it was a great
proficient.
airplane. It was a great job.
Was that just to keep proficiency? Is that right?
Yeah, some of the well, what I would do is we'd have a summer conference, for example, and we were in the upper Midwest. So I was stationed in Kansas City,
Hmm.
and then I would go counterclockwise around the Midwest. I would first go to um, St. Louis. There was Cahokia Parks College in
Hmm.
St. Louis in
Right.
Cahokia, and I'd start there, and then I'd go like Indianapolis, and then all the way up to Michigan, all the way back around through Wisconsin, and it'd be Stevens Point and Madison and Milwaukee and Chicago, and then through Iowa, and I'd be Iowa State and Iowa University of
Hmm.
Iowa, and then a bunch of different places in Nebraska. Go out to Omaha and whatnot. So I'd do this Monday through Friday. I would go to this guy's place, fly all week
Right.
on Friday, turn around, get done, fly home, spend the weekend at my house, do my laundry. Monday, roll back around, jump in the airplane, go fly
Hmm.
to the next recruiter. And what they would do is they'd advertise, "Hey, a Marine Corps airplane is coming to campus. Anybody wants a free airplane ride? Give me
Huh.
a call."
Huh.
And so
Right.
that's what would spark the kids to call the recruiter, and then we would get the guys out to the airport and we take them for a ride. And a lot of them were aviation schools, so that's we
Right.
kind of targeted those looking for aviators. And I did that for 3 years. I loved it. It was the best job in the world because I showed up in my flight suit, and people would assume that I just like came out of the fleet from Cherry Point, jumped in an airplane, rented it, and flew out there to give them. They don't know, that
Yep.
I'd gone through a Xerox professional selling skills course, and I was a recruiter by trade. So when you're up there, the recruiter would tell me, "Hey, I like Dan," or "I want that girl over there," or "that guy."
Hmm.
And so I would spend more time with them, cultivating them, so that they would
Getting them
go
excited about the Marine Corps.
go sign it. Yeah, go sign a contract, become a Marine Corps aviator.
Well, when I was younger, well, I was like 25 or whatnot. I used to fly a combat flight simulator called IL-2,
Mhm.
and I started a squadron called VMF 513. It was funny. I got to know a gentleman by the name of David Gurney. His name is Lieutenant Colonel David Gurney,
Oh,
commanding
I know who
officer.
that guy is. Cal or something.
Cal, yep, he's good. He's a friend of mine.
Harrier dude.
Yep, he's a friend of mine. That's why I was going to ask your other friend on your podcast. Hey, do you know Captain David or Lieutenant Colonel David Gurney? He actually is he's a CNO, I think now of a company like mine that I work for, convenience stores and things like that. He runs the technology show, I guess. But
Well,
yeah, he great guy. And I said to
I,
myself,
I've never I've never met him. I mentored a young Marine who wanted to be an aviator, and back when the internet was new, Cal had posted he had a so this is like 97 time frame.
how
He had a
now,
website. Cal now,
hownowcal.com.
yeah, yeah, I had a website, and the kid told me about it, and I went and checked it out, and I was looking at it. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I didn't know him, but I was always stuck out in my mind. How now, Cal Gurney?
David Gurney. He was, he actually called me one time, and asked. I was asking him questions about, hey, uh, asking him questions about the squadron lineage and everything like that, and very very polite gentleman, very polite. I've never
Mhm.
met somebody as nice as him back in the day. When everybody was like, well, leave me alone, type of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I've heard great things.
Hmm.
Mentored a lot. He mentored a lot of guys like Don, the kid that I was working on.
Right.
He mentored a lot of these guys towards aviation, which is a good thing, and that's what we all do. Try to pass it forward,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you know, keep the dream alive. I mean, if everybody knew that we got paid to do this, then everybody would want to be a pilot.
Right. Which leads me into my next question, for our younger viewers out there. We do the interviews so that they can talk with people like yourself and say, hey, you know, I really gonna look up to that person, or I want to be like what they do. If they go to an air show, oh, I want to do what that pilot does. What's some good advice do you give to these kids or young adults to get into aviation and things like that? What's some good ideas?
You know, when I was 13 years old, we had career day at junior high,
Hmm.
and everybody shadowed their friend's dad, who was a cop or a fireman or whatever. Something easy. They were
Hmm.
just hanging out. I took this seriously because my career counselor, she had a book about that thick, and you open it up and said airline pilot. You want to be an airline pilot? You open it up and it had a paragraph about this big. It was like airline pilots have to have a 4-year degree. Majority come from the military. They get paid X amount a year, and it was really nothing.
Hmm.
So I would encourage young kids who are interested in aviation. Um, I used to go to the airport. Of course, this is pre 9/11, and I would go through security and I would sit in a restaurant, especially around lunch. And a crew would walk in. I would walk up to the captain and I'd go, "Hi, sir. My name is Mitchell Bell. I'm in eighth grade at Swanson Junior High. Could I interview you and your crew, please?" "Yeah, sure, kid. Come on." So I had a notebook with all my questions. I'd sit down with them. It was always good for a hamburger and a Coke. Hey, kid, you hungry? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I love a hamburger. Thank you. But I would ask them all the questions. How did you get into flying? Were you military or civilian? What branch? What airplane did you fly? What airplane is conducive to transitioning to civilian airline jobs? At the time, helicopters was not a real option. Um, how many days off do you get? Is it conducive to family life? Does your wife like the job? Do you like to travel? Does she like to travel? How much money do you make? I mean, I asked all the questions and I literally built me a profile of what I needed to do. And I had a roadmap: graduate junior high, graduate high school, get into college, join the military in some form or fashion, go into aviation, graduate, serve 6 years with whoever, get out and get
Mhm.
hired by an airline. And I literally did that step by step. But I didn't spend six. I spent
20
10
something.
years active duty because I enjoyed it. It really was a blast. I've been to over 55 different countries between American and the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
I've seen the world. I've been there, done that, bought the T-shirt
Yeah.
on a layover,
So
and
yeah.
that's I would tell kids to go to a local FBO. I would join Civil Air Patrol. CAP with the cadet program is wonderful. During the summer, you can take flying lessons. They'll pay for it. They have encampments. If you decide that you want to go military, it gives you quasi military experience, learn how to march, rank, chain of command. Your aerospace book is an
Mhm.
awesome little book to read. Um, if you're a geek into aviation like I was, I spent every day in the summertime down at the Air and Space Museum where I lived in Arlington. Everything I could, absorb every story I could about the different displays and the airplanes. And, it got to the point that my uncle told me, "Hey, do me a favor, only follow me around." And I'm like, "Why is that?" He goes, "The other docents are complaining that this smart ass kid will raise his hand in the middle of a tour and pull out some obscure fact that he heard on another tour and make him look bad." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh my word.
So Uncle Bill was really cool with me, and I'd ride my bicycle from my house in Arlington down to DC and spend all day in the museum because it was air conditioned and it was airplanes.
Mhm.
What two better things? So a young kid could go to an FBO, which is the pilot lounge where you park your airplane, you go get gas. They always have pilots sitting around in there. You can start talking to them.
Mhm.
Now you're not going to talk to airline pilots there, but you talk to regular civilian pilots that fly jets and fly small airplanes and things like that. CAP would be the best option for free flight training.
Mhm.
And then, if you're able and you want to serve your country, I highly suggest joining the military. Best time I ever
Mhm.
had. Now, the how did I get into the Marine Corps? My dad was Navy. He was a engineer on ships. My uncle was a F-14 Rio. My grandfather was a surgeon in the Navy in World War II in Korea. And I joined the Marines. People always go, "Why didn't you go Navy?" Well, when I went to the Navy guy, he said, "What is your major?" And I go, "History." He says, "Well, all of our pilots have a hard math background. Come back and talk to us after you have taken calculus and whatever." And I'm like, "I'm not very good at math." So the Marine guy who happens to be the commandant of the Marine Corps, that was my recruiter, and then Captain Berger. He goes, I said, "Sir, don't I have to have a hard math background?" He goes, "Nah, the Marines don't care about that. You just got to pass this aviation test. If you can pass this, we'll send you down. You know, if you pass OCS and everything else, we'll give you a chance to go to flight school." So they were the only branch that guaranteed a slot at flight school.
Hmm.
Navy didn't. Air Force certainly didn't. The guy in the Air Force, as a matter of fact, was kind of a jerk. He was like, "You have anybody in the Air Force?" "No, my dad's in the Navy." "What's his rank?" "Commander." "Oh, okay, he's nobody." Well, okay,
Gee,
whatever.
thanks, right?
Yeah. And then he's like, "Well, all of our pilots come from the Air Force Academy and ROTC." And I'm like, "All right. Well, you know what? Lying sack of crap." I never realized, if I had known back then, geez, it might have changed my trajectory.
Hmm.
But there's Air National Guard units in every state. There are Air Force Reserve units who will hire
Hmm.
a college kid right out of college if they study and pass the aviation test, and then send them to flight school. And then they come back and fly part time. They fly full time with the unit until they get enough hours and go to the airlines.
Hmm.
So you want to be an airline pilot, kid? There's you're right next to a Luke Air Force Base or someplace that has
Yeah.
airplanes. I guarantee you, there's a Air National Guard unit there,
Tucson.
and
Tucson's got
in
one right at the
Tucson,
airport. Yeah.
yeah. So you can become a we
F-16
call them guard babies.
guard babies.
You join after high school. You spend your summer going to boot camp, then you go to MOS school, so you learn to be a mechanic, and then you come back and you work on the airplanes on the weekends, and um,
Yep.
and you build that experience. And after 4 years, you get your degree. They look at you and go, "Hey, you're a known commodity. We like you, Johnny. Let's send you to flight school." And
Hmm.
so they get to go to flight school.
Uh, Taco, are you doing your since it's Tuesday? Are you doing your um,
Yeah,
pod?
podcast starts at 7. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll be there, guys. If you
So
haven't
if you guys
if you haven't
if you guys
seen
look at Tall Tales with Taco Bell, yeah.
if you haven't seen his podcast, guys, his he's on Facebook and he's on YouTube as well. Of course, that's Mitch right there, Taco Bell.
What are the questions you have, Dane?
Um, well, that's pretty much it. I mean, a lot of folks. I believe this was going to be about an hour, but I know you've got your podcast you got to do. So,
No, we
um,
still got time. We got
okay,
a little bit of time here.
got about a half hour maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, the no, actually, I don't have questions personally, but because we talk a lot, you and me. But a lot of folks out there, they see this. We'll just jump into an aviation topic. I think that's what we'll do here. A lot of people, like for example, I was telling you that I had just got back from vacation. Was it Sunday night? And I went to work, telling everybody about it. They know I'm a big aviation freak. I've got models on my desk at work, and I've got a 30 millimeter gal round sitting there, that's inert. Um, but my experience with aviation is through my father. My dad was a helicopter pilot. You know,
Hmm.
he was a he was in the army for a while, and my great uncle was a DC-6 pilot. He was with the Colombian Air Force. He got killed taking prisoners from Bogota out, um, free prisoners. That's how
Oh,
I got
wow.
I got the bug. Yeah. So granddad was in the Guadalcanal, I think.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah. He's
Well, how many aircraft do you guys have at the museum?
We have about a little over 400, 400,
400 airplanes out
well,
there?
about 450 now because of Sophia. Right now, I don't know if you have you ever heard of the Flying Observatory, Sophia?
Oh, the one with the 747 with the telescope in it.
Yep, we have it.
Yeah.
We have it
Wow.
now. Yep, we have it now. We just got it back in December. They're refurbishing it. They're gonna put it back out here probably in the next couple of months or a couple of weeks. I don't know when.
How
So
far are you guys from the graveyard there at Tucson?
I live. Let's put it this way. My house where I live right here. I'm about a block and a half from the main gate of the base.
You know, I always love in the movies where they sneak through a hole in the fence and they have a party in an airplane or something like that. You know, in real life, it's as soon as they got through that wire, man,
You've been
somebody would be
shot.
on them.
Somebody be
Yeah,
on them and says intercept them real quick, real quick.
yeah.
It, Taco, the over by Irvington and Kolb, okay, there's a little gully that goes like this. Okay,
Uh,
the fence is like this, and then there's a gully that goes underneath.
uh-huh.
And they tried to put it all the way down into the ground, but they couldn't do it. So people have been plucking at that. You know, that's where the C5s are. That's where the C-130s are, and everything. So they do have KC-130s over there.
Oh wow.
Believe it or
Yeah, it
not.
probably got some of our Marine Corps KC-130s.
Um what was your tail code?
Uh, QD.
QD. I might have to look, but we have Q. We have do have the Qs in there, but I've got to see if it's QD or QT.
Our airplanes were 1962 models.
Uh huh.
This is how old our airplanes were, Dan. We
Mm-hmm.
had a ADF in there. It
Mm-hmm.
looked like we called it the coffee grinder ADF.
Yep.
All right. And the only thing that thing was good for was when you're flying over to Europe, you would constantly sit there and twist that to find a radio station to listen to music. Right. So we would use the ADF for AM for music. Well, I was at the museum in Quantico on recruiting duty. So that would have been 95 or 96. And they had this old museum before they built the big national museum. And there was a B-25 sitting out there in front of the museum. It had a ladder, like a regular aircrew ladder going up. And I go up there and I'm looking in the cockpit of this thing. And I'll be damned if it didn't have the same ADF that we had in our current C-130s that guys were flying back at Cherry Point. I
Mm-hmm.
was laughing. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me, man. We were using World War
Yeah.
II ADF coffee grinders."
I'll be grinders. My
Yeah,
dad's
because it had a little handle on it that you would
yeah. You go like
twist,
this.
like the old coffee grinders
Yep.
would twist. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I've seen them. My dad's friend Roy used to fly out of Turner Air Force Base in Georgia, and it was
Mhm.
one of the I think it was one of the A or B model C-130. That's why I love the Hurt too. You know, apparently Davis Mountain is going to be. I hope it doesn't happen, honestly, but they're getting rid of the A-10s. Okay, and
Yeah, I heard that.
yep, and we're going to be getting a special operations squadron. So
Wow.
I'm pretty sure we are. I already know that they were talking about the AC-130Js. They're already talking about the MB-22s, possibly a J-35 squadron or a F-22 squadron. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah. I just helped a guy. Um, he had an interview with American, and so he just came here and got his interview. Ryan Siebert,
Hmm.
great guy. He got me a box of shells, the 30 millimeter shells.
Well, Taco, when just so you know, while you the shells are like this big. I swear they're huge.
Yeah.
But when we get our challenge coins, I'm going to send you a challenge coin.
Oh man, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. I've got it up
yep,
there.
I see it. I see it. I know that's very distinctive. You can know you know it's a 30 millimeter shell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I said, honey, when I die, don't sell my crap for $1 at a yard sale.
Give it to a museum. Give
You
it.
know, the only thing worthwhile of the museum would be that prop by all the signed by all the Apollo guys,
Mhm.
in this deal right over here with all of the. I was at the 50th anniversary of Iwo Jima,
I wouldn't even get rid of that.
so yeah, so that's signed by all the vets who returned,
Oh
and
my.
then I have a K bar from World War II, and that helmet I got in Afghanistan, that bada bing thing
Hmm.
that is from Iraq when I was in Iraq. I pulled all those off an old Russian jet, and we had a kid that was an artist, and I had my wife send me a bunch of paint. I paid that kid to paint those access plates,
Hmm.
and I gave them to all my crew member, all my Marines that worked for me. I had
Hmm.
six of them.
But you were a
Um,
lieutenant colonel, weren't you?
yeah, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, Taco it was war dog, lieutenant colonel.
Who's War Dog?
You you were in a war. You were actually in Afghanistan, so
Oh
I
well,
call that war dog.
Iraq in Iraq in '05, I was the air boss, so I ran
Okay.
Al Taqaddum Airfield. It was an old MiG base in between Fallujah and Ramadi. So when they talk about the triangle of death, it was Fallujah, TQ, Habaniya,
Hmm.
Ramadi, and that Anbar province was just a hotbed every day. And I did that in '05, came home in February of '06. I flew T models with the reserves down here for a
Hmm.
break, and then I went back to Afghanistan in February or March of '08, and I worked with the Afghan National Police for 8 months,
Hmm.
and then came home and finished up on did Marine for Life for a year. Program helped guys getting out, and then I got in back on recruiting duty and finished up my career on recruiting duty,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
which was a blast.
See, honestly, I was never in the military myself, so I always admire the fact that you guys did the ultimate sacrifice. On I, that's why I told you before. I get really angry when I see stuff like this with stolen valor stuff. I hate it. I really hate it.
I used to get really mad over it, but you know what? They're idiots, and they'll always be idiots.
Agreed.
So and you know, they probably stolen valor's been around since Christ was hanging on the cross, and the guy in the bar that night's like, "Yeah, I was out there. You know, I'm a Roman legionnaire, and I was out on the
Hmm.
bluff, and we killed this guy with a spear." And the other guy sitting there drinking a beer, going, "Now wait a minute, I did that with my buddy Marcus. I don't remember you being there." You know, so I guarantee you, this stuff has been going on since, as they always joke, Christ was a corporal.
Right. Um, One question I personally have for you is,
What's that?
what was a scary time for you? I'm just curious.
Scary,
Aviation.
scary time in aviation.
Yeah.
You know, I took off out of Des Moines. In Des Moines, the airport is right next to a river,
Right.
and next to the river is a big bluff. Can't remember if it's called Cancel Bluff,
Council
but
Bluffs.
there's big, you know, like it's some terrain.
Hmm.
And I took off in the Navajo. I had a Navajo, not a chieftain at that time. Chieftain had just a little bit more power.
Yeah.
Took off in a straight Navajo, and we're taking off south, and they told me turn left to heading. So when I turned left, we it was nighttime. I'm IMC. I'm in the goo, and as I turned left, my flight director was rolling right,
Whoa.
and I thought, "Oh, I thought I'm turning left. Holy crap!" And I start turning right, and following the flight director. When I realized the flight director had died, and the hair it's hard to describe, but there's a feeling that you get, an instant burning that it went right up the back of my neck. It was a very distinct burning sensation
Hmm.
when I realized I was about to roll the airplane inverted in the goo with a bad gyro.
Wow.
and I immediately rolled back left to wings level using secondary methods. And we trained what they call a partial panel. That was part of our primary and advanced training,
Right.
constantly using turn slip and the RMI and compass and stuff to figure out if you're turning left or right, how's it spinning, all this stuff. So
Sure.
I looked at my sergeant major who was sitting next to me and I said, Sergeant Major, I need you to go inside my bag on the left pocket. There is a stack. I have a stack of large post-it notes. What do you need a post-it notes for, sir? And I'm like, just give me a post-it note, please. Pull it out ASAP. So he pulls it out, and when he pulls it out, I took it and I stuck it over the gyro so I couldn't subconsciously look at that thing. And then once that's out of the view, then I'm doing everything, turn time, doing my stuff, and using the VSI for the climb, making sure I'm climbing or on my level
Right.
or what I'm doing. And we got turned to the left. Now, knowing that we just taken off and it was like 400 feet, ceiling. Do I really want to come back and do a PAR approach in the goo at night with no gyro, or do I continue on to wherever we were going? I think St. Louis, um, where I knew the weather was going to be VFR in a million. And so that's what I did. We climbed up, got above the clouds. Once we got on top of the clouds, there was a distinct horizon of the clouds. And after that, I was just partial panel the whole way. Landed the airplane. My passengers had my CO, the XO. I had the entire command staff in the airplane with me. Had I crashed that airplane, I would have wiped out the entire group for Ninth Marine Corps District.
Wow.
And I told the CO about it later, and he was like, "Well, good thing you're a damn good pilot." I'm like, "You know what, sir? I don't. It was good. I am good. Yes, thank you. Give me a good fitness report, but perhaps in the future we don't take the entire command element with us
Hmm.
in case something ever happens. If I lost an engine or something and we ended up putting it in, maybe we just kill half the team, not everybody." And he's like, "I never thought about that." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it might be a good idea, sir." So after that, we did either the CO or the XO, sergeant major or the command um, enlisted recruiter guy, and you know we alternated, kind of A and B team.
Sure.
That was scary. That was scary. I had a prop shaft shear on me
Oh.
in a Navajo, and that I lost the left engine on that one, but they're counter rotating, so
Hmm.
was able to come in and land
Come
at
out.
a
Yeah.
airport.
Yep. What
And then,
have you had any
hmm?
incidents with the C-130?
Oh, we lost engines in C-130 all the time, but I was never scared about that. You had three more engines.
That's
The
true.
dreaded three-engine landing. It wasn't a big deal.
Really. Yeah.
No, I mean we literally would shut down an engine. Our airplanes were so old, Dan. We were shutting down engines. You know, you almost counted on it. Like when I went to Hawaii and I got to fly in that F4 Phantom.
Right.
Nobody that would have been a very senior trip, right? All the majors and senior captains,
Hmm.
but nobody wanted to go on that trip because it was right 2 weeks, a week before Christmas. So it was like December 17th.
Hmm.
And nobody wanted to do that trip knowing that the airplane would most likely break, even though you're stuck in Honolulu, you're not getting home for Christmas. So the guys were like, "Hey, send all the young single guys on that trip." And so that's what we did.
Wow. Wow. You
Yeah,
know.
airplanes broke all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, I could tell you numerous stories being stuck in Rota or lodges or Keflavik, Iceland, or St. John's, Newfoundland, or let's see, where else was I stuck? Phuket, Thailand, um, Misawa,
Hmm.
Japan,
Japan.
Darwin, Australia. Yeah, we got stranded in some places, some very cool places.
Right. amazing stuff that a lot of us do. Well, a lot of us, a lot of the aviation folks do. Talking to a Bozo. You know who Bozo is, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Bozo, yep, yeah. Bozo's Lloyd got a little bit kind of since this Top Gun Maverick came out. He's been getting a lot of attention. So
Hmm.
same thing with Heater and some of the guys. Dave Baranek, you know who Dave is? Dave Baranek,
I know Bio. Yeah,
Bio, yep.
I
Yeah.
interviewed Bio on the show. I interviewed. Uh, I didn't have Heater's info at that time.
Mm-hmm,
Um, I interviewed Jambo and Hollywood and
mm-hmm,
Bio,
mm-hmm.
um, and a couple of the other guys that were involved. We did an all day podcast. It was
For Top Gun
five
days.
shows. Yeah, top. Well, it was about 3 years ago. We did it, maybe 4 years ago, and it was five shows, 6 hours long,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of had all the original people. I had Pete Pettigrew, Admiral Pettigrew,
I saw
the
that.
original Viper.
I saw that.
Yeah, I have all that. So if you look on Tall Tales with Taco and you go scroll all the way down,
Mm-hmm,
I have a variety of shows that interviewed. Probably one of my favorite interviews was with Huggy. He's a U-2 pilot. He's a civilian instructor U-2 pilot now, airline guy too.
mm-hmm, right.
But Huggy flew U-2s. His interview was a lot of fun. He's a funny, funny guy. He had
Mm-hmm.
me in stitches the whole time. And then I interviewed SR-71 guy. Interviewed Chris Cassidy. He's um, astronaut,
Mm-hmm.
Navy SEAL astronaut, now president of the Medal of Honor Museum
Really?
right down the street. Interviewed Chris, and because I always had a lot of questions about space.
Mm-hmm.
You never talk about, do you guys take showers in space? And you know what? The answer is no. So when they're up there in the space station, they don't take showers. They might get a cloth wet and do a little damp deal, but
Talk
they
about
don't take
smelling funky
showers.
up there, huh?
That's what I asked him. I go, when you first opened, because you're coming from a spaceship that has a certain smell to it. I imagine, the leather and the equipment and kind of that like a cockpit of an airplane smell.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you open that door and you go into the space station, that's what I was like. What is that first smell that hit you? What was that smell?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, there's a certain smell to space. How did he describe it?
Kind of like
You'd
a
have to go
rock.
back and watch the show. No, there's a certain smell that, like when you get back, they don't even take their clothes. They don't wash them, right? So the supply ships will bring new clothes. They just take the old clothes, put them in a bag, and chuck them out the airlock, and they go hit the atmosphere and burn up. But
Well, uh, Taco, if you there's a a group on Facebook that I'm a part of, and a lot of astronauts and things like that, and a lot of astronauts, people who've worked in the space industry and everything like that. It's called Space Hipsters. We've got a lot of stuff. Go check that out when you get a chance.
what's it called?
It's called Space Hipsters.
Space hipsters. I will check that out.
Yeah. Emily Carney is the leader of the pack. She's really cool. I've met her once. She has a podcast of her own, um, Space and Things, I believe it is.
Hmm,
You'd enjoy that.
check it out.
Um,
Space and things.
yeah. We also have a space shuttle booster rocket over there at the FEMA. Same
Oh,
thing.
really?
Yeah. We also have a mock-up of the Apollo command module. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, oh yeah. We have the General Electric test bed for the 747. We got the
Hmm.
Orbis a flying eye hospital. It's a DC-10. Um, the 747 that we have over there it's a 200.
Hmm.
It's one of the older versions. It was originally flown by Pan Am and then given to or bought by uh, I believe it was General Electric. So
Wow.
yeah. We also have that 787. We've got a 737-400 sitting over there from China Southern.
Uh-huh.
Yep, we've got an L 1049 Constellation from TWA. We've got all kinds of good stuff over
Wow.
there. Yep.
I have to go back and look at my pictures I took when I was out there. We drove past it, and I remember
Mhm.
snapping a bunch of pictures of airplanes that were on the outside.
Yep.
It's
There-
beautiful. It looks like a beautiful museum. Now, are you a docent there?
I was a docent there. I was a docent for the 390th, but I'm doing this as kind of like a mercy mission for in memory of my dad and memory of those who did uh, things with aviation back in the day.
Yeah,
So I'm not
that's really cool.
I'm not directly affiliated with the museum. We are not directly affiliated with the museum. We've got our website. We've got our YouTube channel. This is where this is going, and we have our Twitter account and stuff. All all that we have. You're part of our fan page, correct, Mitch?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you'll see every day. I just posted something about the F-117 at the Palm Springs Air Museum. That's the only there's only one of two that have been restored back to
Yeah, you probably get some spare parts over in Yugoslavia.
yeah. I remember that. There's
Uh,
I'm trying to think. Pima has one, but it's bare metal. They're really badly demilitarized.
oh, wow.
So yeah. Let's see.
S Great little museums around.
Yep. But the museums that I've been to on my trip, I did go up to China Lake.
Oh, cool.
I
I've
did
never
go.
been up there.
I did go up to. I was admiring the F-18 Hornet, the prototype that they had up there. It was very nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I went into the museum, got to see the development of all the um, weapons from back in the day till now, and they got a nice museum over there.
Well, I know you like to travel. Know you like aviation. What do you think of Air and Space Museum and Van de Hoosy wing over at Dulles?
I've never been there.
Oh, you need to make a trip out there.
I have not been to. I've taken a lot of trips to Western aviation museums and things like that, but never. Oh, I take that back. I've been to the Intrepid over in New York City.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I did that on a layover once. That was
yeah.
nice.
And you're like,
We've got Fort
yep,
Worth Aviation Museum right here down the street from my house.
really?
Yeah, they got one of the flying wings from Lockheed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got something here I want to show you. Um, in fact, I actually forgot to take this with me on my vacation.
What is that?
A guide to aviation aircraft museums.
Oh, very cool.
You can get this online actually. It shows you what state they're in. Let's see, Texas, for example. Um, Georgia. Let's see. Come on. West Virginia. Completely forgot to take this with me.
Uh,
College Station. He said Fort Worth, American Airlines CR Smith Museum, right?
well, no, that's one. I'm talking about the Fort Worth
Aviation Museum.
Aviation.
Yeah. We got a F-18 Blue Angels. Tells you all the aircraft that are at the museum pretty much.
Yeah, that's run by a buddy of mine. He's a Marine.
Hmm.
Some
But
great volunteers helping him out.
anybody who's going out to museums, get this book. It's good for you.
Yeah, it's really good.
I was just at this museum. I believe it was Friday or Thursday or Friday.
Yeah,
Chino, Planes of
very
Fame.
cool.
This B-17 right here, Mitch.
Uh-huh.
I have pictures of me inside of it.
Oh, that's cool. Which one is that?
That is that's the one they got outside. I forget the name of it, but it's it's just they got a picture of myself at the gun like this.
I proposed to my wife in the nose of Chucky. It's a B-17 that was based out of here.
Really?
Now they're going to ground them all.
Yep, I heard.
Yeah, wing spars.
Let's see this one here, the Air Mobility Command. This one's a really good one. If you ever see it, it's called the Santa Teresa Air Museum. War
Okay,
Eagles, a good one.
cool.
Yep,
Well, Dan, I hate to run, but I
yep.
do have to dine and dash. It was a honor talking to you and to all your fans of the Pima Air and Space Museum. Shout out from Fort Worth. Um, I will make the effort to come out to see one of the greatest collections
And
out there. That
I do
is
invite you to
awesome.
be a regular on on the interviews and stuff like that. You can be a
Yeah,
co you
if
can be a co anchor or something.
well, if you want me, give me a call, and if I'm off, I can help you out.